We are here committed to the indestructible truth that all men are created equal. Abraham Lincoln was one of the greatest presidents in American history. He led the American people to win the Civil War, ended slavery, and made great contributions to the unity and development of the United States. Lincoln was born into a poor farmer family in Kentucky on February 12, 1809. His father was a carpenter and his mother was a hard-working housewife. Lincoln was smart and studious, and he loved reading since he was a child. He often goes to the library to borrow books and read various books. Lincoln also liked to think about life and social issues. Lincoln's childhood experiences shaped his strong will and indomitable spirit. When Lincoln was 12 years old, his father died. At the age of 18, he left his hometown and started his own independent life. He studied law in Nashville and Usalem, Illinois. At the age of 28, he became a lawyer. During his legal career, Lincoln defended many poor and oppressed people, earning his respect. He was also active in politics and opposed slavery. During his career as a lawyer, Lincoln accumulated a wealth of legal knowledge and experience, and also developed a firm sense of justice and compassion. He defended many poor and oppressed people and won their respect and love. His legal career also laid the foundation for his later political career. In 1860, Lincoln was elected President of the United States. His election angered slaveholders in the southern states, who seceded from the Union, and the United States plunged into the Civil War. Lincoln led the Northern Army in a 4-year arduous battle with the Southern Army. Ultimately, the Northern Army was victorious and the Southern states rejoined the Union. Lincoln led the Northern Army to win the Civil War and end slavery, one of his greatest achievements. He promulgated the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring that all slaves under federal jurisdiction were henceforth free. This declaration was epoch-making and marked the end of slavery in the United States. Lincoln's political career is one of the most glorious chapters in American history. Lincoln was also a great orator. Many of the speeches he delivered are well known throughout American history. One of his most famous speeches is the Gettysburg Address, which he delivered in front of the Gettysburg Battle Monument. This speech only had 272 words, but it expressed profound thoughts and emotions and became one of the most famous speeches in American history. On April 14, 1865, Lincoln was assassinated by Confederate rebels. He was only 56 years old when he died. Lincoln's death is a major tragedy in American history. Lincoln's life is a legendary life. He grew up from a farmer's son to the President of the United States and made great contributions to American democracy and freedom. His spirit will always inspire us. Here are some of Lincoln's famous quotes. We are here committed to the indestructible truth that all men are created equal. Government is of the people, by the people, for the people. I have fallen, but America will never fall. You cannot avoid the responsibilities of tomorrow by avoiding today. Sir, my concern is not whether God is on our side. What I care about most is being on God's side, because God is always right. Make sure your feet are in the correct position and then stand firm. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. You can fool all the people some of the time, and you can fool some of the people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. No one has a good enough memory to be a successful liar. I may not win, but I will win. I may not succeed, but I will definitely live by the light I have. No matter who I am against, I have to stand with him, be with him when he is right, and stay away from him when he is wrong. Character is like a tree. Reputation is like a shadow. The shadow is what we think. The tree is real. I will be ready, and one day my chance will come. The shepherd drives the wolf from the sheep's throat, for which the sheep denounce the shepherd as his liberator, while the wolf denounces him for Tessum act as the destroyer of liberty. Plainly, the sheep and the wolf are not agreed upon a definition of liberty. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other. I am a firm believer in the people. Given the truth, they can be dependent to meet any national crisis. The great point is to bring them the real facts. I like to see a man proud of the place in which he lives. I like to see a man live so that his place will be proud of him. This is coffee. Please bring me some tea. But if this is tea, please bring some coffee. My great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure. He has a right to criticize, who has a heart to help. I remember my mother's prayers, and they have always followed me. They have clung to me all my life. This country, with its institutions, belongs to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they shall grow weary of the existing government, they can exercise their constitutional right of amending it, or exercise every torsionally right to overthrow it. I am a firm believer in the people. Given the truth, they can be dependent to meet any national crisis. The great point is to bring them the real facts. I have always found that mercy bears richer fruits than strict justice. That some achieve great success is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. Every man is said to have his peculiar ambition. Whether it be true or not, he can say, for one, that I have no other so great as that of being truly statement of my fellow men. By rendering myself worthy of their esteem, far I shall succeed in gratifying this ambition is yet to be developed. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses idea of democracy. Surely God would not have created such a being as man, with an ability to grasp the infinite, to exist only for a day. No, no. Man was made for moderately. Whenever I hear anyone arguing for slavery, I feel a strong impulse to see it tried on him personally. A friend is one who has the same enemies as you have. My dream is of a place and a time where America will once again be seen as the last best hope of earth. I do not think much of a man who is not wiser today than he was yesterday. The probability that we may fail in the struggle ought not to deter us from support of a cause we believe to be just. Labor is prior to and independent of capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor, and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is the superior of capital, and deserves much the higher consideration. You have to do your own growing no matter how tall your grandfather was. We should be too big to take offense and too noble to give it, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right. Let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds. If I were to face, would I be wearing this one? The best way to get a bad law repealed is to enforce it strictly. The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew. No man is good enough to govern another man without the other consent. Tact is the ability to describe others as they see themselves. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves, and under the rule of a just God, cannot long retain it. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves, and under the rule of a just God, cannot long retain it. Stand with anybody that stands right, Stand with him while he is right and apart with him when he goes wrong. Avoid popularity if you would have peace. Discourage litigation. Persuade your neighbors to compromise whenever you can. As a peacemaker, the lawyer has superior opportunity of being a gowed man. There will still be business enough. At what point then is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever reach us, it must spring up amongst us. Let's cannot come from abroad. Self-destruction be our lot. We must ourselves be its author and visions. As a nation of freemen, we must live through all time, or die by twice died. All the armies of Europe, Asia and Africa combined, with all the treasure wap the earth our own accepted, in their military chest, with a Bonaparte a commander, could not by force take a drink from the Ohio, or make a track on the Blue Ridge. In a trial of 1,000 years, a man watches his pear tree day after day, impatient for the ripening of fruit. Let him attempt to force the process, and he may spoil both fruit and tree. But let him patiently wait, and the ripe pear at length falls into his lap. Let's have faith that right makes might, and in that faith let us, to the end ready to do our duty as we understand it. If ever I feel the soul within me elevate and expand to those dimensions and wholly unworthy of its almighty architect, it is when I contemplate Czechos of my country, deserted by all the world beside, and I standing up boldly and lone and hurling defiance at her victorious oppressors. Our defense is in the preservation of the spirit which prizes liberty as a heritage of all men, in all lands, everywhere. Destroy this spirit and you have planted the seeds of despotism around your own doors. The mystic cords of memory, stretching from every battlefield and patriot trap to every living heart and heart sign, all over this broad land, will yet swell the chorus of the Union when again touched, as surely they will be, by the angels of our nature. Our Declaration of Independence was held sacred by all and thought to include all, but now, to aid in making the bondage of the Negro universal and eternal, it is assailed, sneered at, construed, hawked at, and torn, till its framers could rise from their graves. They could not at all recognize it. These quotes express Lincoln's firm belief in American democracy and freedom. Finally, welcome to like and subscribe.